You're not starting over. You're starting from a different level of awareness. And the moment you stop avoiding what's in front of you, that's where everything begins to change. There's something I've been starting to see differently about setbacks. From the outside, it can look like things have moved backwards, trading paused, living situation changed, relationships shifted. Everything that once felt stable no longer looks the same. And there's a moment where it can feel like starting over. Not completely from zero, but far enough that it feels unfamiliar. There's uncertainty and a sense that something needs to be figured out quickly. And I've noticed how strong that pull can be to fix things. The mind stays busy trying to get back to where things used to be. But what I'm starting to see is this phase is not just about rebuilding. It's about how I respond while everything is still forming, because the tendency is to rush, to fill the space, to become more productive, just to feel stable again. But that urgency doesn't always lead to clarity. And what's different now is perspective. A year ago, this felt like something I wouldn't come out of. There was a lack of stability, support, and no space that felt safe enough. And now, even though things are still uncertain, there is something else there. Strength, capacity, a sense of being able to stay and move forward. Not because everything is resolved, but because something internally is more steady. And what I'm starting to understand is it's not about how you fall or where things went wrong. It's about how you rise again and how you move through the setback. Because even when it feels like starting over, you're not the same person you were before. All those years of experience, that's information. It's perspective. It's awareness. And every decision now comes from who you are today, not who you were before. And that changed everything. Distraction doesn't improve anything. It just pushes things aside, and over time, it builds. Because the longer something isn't faced, the heavier it becomes. And what I've started to see is your mind is often trying to keep you safe. Stay the same. Don't take risks. Don't change too much. And in some ways, that makes sense. But there comes a point where you have to ask, what is one thing you're no longer willing to live with? Something that's not negotiable anymore. Because that's usually where the real shift begins. Not from forcing everything to change at once, but from deciding what you're no longer going to carry forward. And that's where resilience starts to look different. It's not about avoiding setbacks. It's about how you move through them. Whether you rush, give in, or whether you can stay long enough for something to take shape again. You may be thinking, I don't even know where to start. I get it. Putting yourself out there for the first time can feel hard. Start small. Begin reaching out. Connect with people in your community. Be part of something again. Over time, that creates connection. Reach out to new people each week. Find a place you can return to, somewhere familiar. That's what builds a sense of belonging and helps establish new routines. And that's what rebuilding actually looks like. Not a single decision, not a fast recovery, but small movements made from a different place. And maybe that's the shift. Not trying to get back to where things were, but learning how to move forward from where things are now. Avoidance shows up in different ways. There are many ways to avoid seeing what's really there. Substances, screen time, or staying constantly busy, working until the day ends. On the surface, these can seem harmless, but over time there's a deeper cost. They keep the truth out of view. Real feelings. What isn't working? what's been delayed. And as long as that stays hidden, nothing really changes, because the mind is trying to keep things safe, stay the same, avoid risk. And in some ways that makes sense. But there comes a point where clarity matters. What are you no longer willing to avoid? What is no longer negotiable? That's usually where the shift begins. So maybe the question isn't how to start over. It's what you're finally ready to face. Because the moment you stop avoiding what's in front of you, things don't need to be forced anymore. They begin to move from a different place. And that's where everything starts to change.